From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Another local school is announcing its plan for reopening classes. Coming up, we'll find out what the Gateway School is considering to allow it to safely teach students this fall. And Bozeman is about to get a citywide composting program. Coming up, we'll tell you what that will mean for residents. 6:32, we're back here on Montana This Morning. Not looking too bad out there for Monday.
No, the weather, the rest of the Monday I can't fix, but the weather is going to be pretty good. The rest of it is
just a typical Monday.
That's you people, I can't help you, but I can give you some decent weather to talk about, maybe go outside and get away from the stress of Monday. It's beautiful out right now. I was out on the patio here in tropical Four Corners right at 50. 40s for the most part, West Yellowstone, a little cooler at 36 degrees. We do have a fire weather watch. I'll talk more about that coming up in just a couple minutes. As far as your planner goes, we're going to warm up into those low to mid 80s in the Bozeman area today under sunny skies. Butte going to struggle to reach 80. It's just going to be really nice. Lots of sunshine, and that's the story for the next couple of days. More on that fire weather watch coming up in about 10 minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Chet. 6:33 now. We've been talking about this for quite some time. There are a lot of tough decisions going on for schools around the country. Rural schools are no exception. Some of those K-8 schools like Gallatin Gateway feed into larger districts for high school, which makes decision-making a difficult process. Our Matt Elwell talked with Gallatin Gateway's superintendent to see how they're getting their students back safely to school.
Gallatin Gateway School has about 160 students spread across kindergarten through 8th grade, and making a decision on getting kids back to school safely is a difficult one for many reasons.
Whenever we're making large scheduling decisions, even our school calendar, any aspect that might affect our parents' scheduling or their family life, we really look at what Bozeman schools are doing so that we can try to coordinate those efforts.
And smaller schools with smaller budgets and limited staffing, it's an issue for doing what is proposed in Bozeman's schools.
We don't have the staffing or capability to do any kind of a blended model, and so we wanted feedback from our parents about which model they would prefer as we return to school,
which was sent out to parents this past week. In the meantime, the school staff has been focusing on the issues that they can control.
And the entire summer, basically changing physical parts of our school as well as our operating practices to help make sure that our parents feel that it is safe to bring their children back to school.
This will also mean a plan that has to change as they go along in some cases.
I like to use the phrase building the plane while we're flying it. As we get new information, we switch gears to do best practices.
Best practices to keep their students safe.
We are keeping best interest of children at the heart of everything that we do.
Reporting from Gallatin Gateway, Matt Elwell, MTN News.
The Gallatin Gateway School District hopes to have a final decision as early as Thursday, August 13th. Thanks to a grant from the Department of Agriculture and Natural Resource Conservation, Bozeman is moving ahead with a plan to increase compost services. MTN's Gabby Crevitt has a report on what that means for Bozeman residents.
As of right now, the City of Bozeman does not have an active year-round food waste compost program. City officials are hoping to change that with the help of the USDA Community Compost Food and Waste Reduction Grant from the Department of Agriculture.
Again, trying to make the compost system, collection system a little bit easier for people, to provide a bin for them for collection. And so it's more standardized and we can automate the collection.
The hope is diverting organic material from the landfill to reduce methane gas emissions.
Being able to remove stuff from the waste stream and landfilling it. I know the commissioners are behind that, and anything we can do for composting or recycling or somehow diverting waste away from just landfilling them.
The grant request is for 2 years with funding up to $90,000 and around $22,000 of matching funds from the city. The city is partnering up with composting companies like the Happy Trash Can, who are experts in composting food waste from residents and local businesses.
We're able to capture those nutrients that are still in that food, compost it, and put it into material that then can be used to, essentially grow more food, ornamental crops, etc.
The city of Bozeman says the grant funding would help jumpstart the expansion of this program, allowing food waste and more regular pickups of compost material from home. And some of that leftover compost will be given to the Bozeman Parks Department, where it can be used as fertilizer in parks throughout the community. Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Time now 6:37. The concept of universal basic income is getting new attention amid the pandemic. That's the idea of giving out recurring payments to everyone without any strings attached. Stockton, California has already been testing this with 125 people, giving them $500 a month. And now 15 more mayors have joined a group working to launch more pilot programs in cities. We spoke with an economics professor who says the pandemic stimulus payments can be seen as a form of universal basic income.
Seeing that, I think it just makes the idea more real. And at the same time, it's pretty clear at this very moment why you might find this idea appealing. That's because, again, a lot of people have lost income. There's a clear need for income security.
She believes the stimulus payments may be helping change the perception a universal basic income gives out undeserved money. She hopes the money people receive in Alaska from oil revenue. She says people aren't any less likely to work. In Stockton, they found people are using the money for necessities like groceries and utility bills. And how universal basic income, or UBI, gets funded is still a big question.
One interesting thing that has happened with the stimulus checks is the idea that people had of saying, it's going to be based right now on your past income and we'll, potentially tax it away later, after we're out of this hole. So to me, that's a potentially important lesson for a potential UBI.
The president of the nonpartisan Center on Budget and Policy Priorities says paying for universal basic income with new taxes isn't the way to go. He says we already need a lot of money to keep Social Security and Medicare going. Stockton's mayor says money from the Pentagon budget or tax money from the legalization of marijuana could work. He's paying for his city's current pilot program with a grant and a private donation. Other cities looking to start pilots are considering forming public-private partnerships or working to find room in the city budget. In this month's Awaiting Child, we introduce you to 12-year-old Mason. Mason loves to swim, draw, play video games, go to movies, camp, and play in the great outdoors.
I love video games, but I also love going outside and making sticks.
You made your own boat?
Yeah, we made our own boat.
Mason tells us he loves to cook. He says he likes to cook steak, potatoes, and hot dogs. When we spoke to Mason, his eyes lit up when he was mentioning how much he loves to go off-roading in all-terrain vehicles. This adventure seeker also loves horror, adventure, and dinosaur movies, saying his favorite actor is Kevin Hart. Mason tells us he helps take care of the 4 dogs at his group home and recently took part in dog training. And it may surprise you, but this 12-year-old loves musicals. Mason shares with us one Broadway play, Newsies, that had a positive impact on him.
It was about these kids who weren't getting treated right, and they upped the price on they wouldn't sell them in newspapers or something, and then they basically at the end of the movie it was a happy ending. So that's why I like it.
And if you'd like to know more information about Mason, you can contact the Department of Public Health and Human Services for information about adoption or fostering at 1-866-9-FOSTER. A moose that was wandering around parts of Great Falls over the weekend has been safely captured and will be released back into the wild. This began on Saturday night, then check this out. The moose was spotted again on Sunday morning, stepping over a guardrail toward a steep embankment that leads to the Missouri River. Officers with the Great Falls Police Department arrived and blocked off part of the road to corner the moose just a few hours later. According to a witness, Montana FWP wardens shot the moose with a tranquilizer dart, and then the moose ran into the water. It then took a boat and a rope to pull the animal safely to shore. The moose was released back into the mountains shortly after. And a happy ending there for that moose. We always like to see that. 6:41 now. Amazon might be stepping in to take over some of the stores and malls that closed because of the explosion of online shopping. How that will work is coming up. First, though, here's a look at what's ahead on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, as the U.S. tops 5 million COVID cases, some reopened schools are now canceling in-person classes. Hear from doctors about the growing concern for children who get infected. Plus, former active duty military members talk about whether they've experienced racism within the ranks. Are there measures in place to create equal opportunity in the armed forces? And only on CBS This Morning, the CEO of Feeding America joins us. She'll discuss how tens of millions could face hunger this year due to the coronavirus crisis, many of them children. All that coming up when we see you at 7.